Thank you. 2 minutes ago, we received this email in our newsroom from the Circuit Attorney, City of St. Louis. St. Louis Circuit Judge finds Jason Stockley not guilty of killing Anthony Lamar Smith.
Joining us now is Antoine Johnson. He is the brother of Anthony Lamar Smith. Antoine, thank you very much for a couple minutes of your time, sir.
What's up, man?
I'm sorry for your loss, for your family's loss. Our condolences. Your reaction to the judge's verdict this morning, your thoughts, your emotions today.
Man, the judge ain't do his job. He on the way to retire, so he didn't care less about the case. The whole time the trial was going on, that man was falling asleep at his stand. So he wasn't paying attention to the case. He already had his mind made up of what he wanted to do way before the trial even started and everything. That's why the barricades and stuff up all around downtown.
Protesters clash with police at the end of what had been a largely peaceful second day of protest rallies in the U.S. city of St. Louis. It comes after the acquittal of a white police officer in the fatal shooting of a black man. Several hundred people gathered near Washington University after dark as the main rallies and marches wound down on Saturday evening. Shop and restaurant windows were smashed and rubbish bins were thrown. Police declared the scene an unlawful assembly and threatened to use tear gas. There have been a total of 33 arrests over 2 days. 10 police officers have been hurt. The protests began peacefully on Friday after former St. Louis police officer Jason Stockley was acquitted of first-degree murder in the shooting death of Anthony Lamar Smith, who was 24. But the gatherings ended in violence on both Friday and Saturday nights. An estimated 600 chanting protesters marched from the courthouse through downtown St. Louis. Some were holding Black Lives Matter signs. Windows were broken and bottles thrown at officers who responded with tear gas and rubber bullets.
That's right. More than 80 arrests last night. It's the third night, Steve, and the police here calling them criminals because the pattern's the same. They start off peaceful during the day, and a different element comes out at night, intent on destruction. Like this window, you can see the video of the gentleman who kicked this window in. There's nothing peaceful about that protest. It is, of course, the third day. The total number of people, more than 120 arrested over the 3 days since Friday morning when Officer Jason Stockley was acquitted of the 2011 shooting death of Anthony Lamar Smith. The officials here all on the same page. Governor Greitens, the mayor, Lyda Krewson, as well as the police chief, Lawrence O'Toole, saying that this sort of behavior will not be tolerated. Nonetheless, we talked to some of those protesters. One individual, a state rep here, Bruce Franks Jr. He is an elected official here, but he says this is what the violence is about. Take a listen.
Systematic racism, systematic injustice, and it has to change.
You got hurt folks that feels like a system has failed them. So I understand folks being upset about broken windows, but we got broken lives out here. That doesn't compare.
Hundreds of protesters filled the streets of St. Louis Friday after the acquittal of a white police officer in the shooting death of a black suspect. The events surrounding the killing of 24-year-old Anthony Lamar Smith began in the parking lot of a fast food restaurant on December 20th, 2011. Officer Jason Stockley and his partner tried to corner Smith with their police SUV after seeing what appeared to be a drug transaction. Stockley testified he believed he saw a gun. The officer fired 7 shots as Smith backed into the police vehicle and drove away. A 2-minute chase ensued. Police dashcam video captures Stockley saying that he wanted to kill the suspect while in pursuit. As Smith's car slowed, Stockley told his partner to crash into the car. Stockley emerged from the SUV and fired 5 shots into the suspect's car, killing Smith. Stockley's defense attorney said he fired only when Smith refused commands to put up his hands, instead reaching along the seat where a gun was found. Prosecutors said Stockley planted a revolver in Smith's car.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Wake Up Report. And really, St. Louis, really, are you that stupid and ignorant that U2 has to cancel a concert because there aren't enough police to go around because all the cops have to be sent over to cover your stupid and idiotic protesters that are out there doing nothing more than damage? Really? Really, St. Louis? You haven't learned anything since Michael Brown, huh? It's been about 2 years. Was that 2015? And you're right back in the same spot. You're right back in the same condition that you are 2 years ago. You haven't learned anything behind that. That makes you stupid. So let's go over the facts real quick so we can figure out why these morons are out here looting and destroying property and shutting down concerts and doing all the other wonderful things that black folk in St. Louis like to do. So for some of you out there, get your coon remarks ready, get your sellout remarks ready, get he's coming from that dark place or that dark hole he crawled out of comments ready, because you're not going to like this show. So this man was out selling drugs. In other words, he was out committing a crime. The police stopped this man when they found out he was committing a crime, much like the police went after this man because he was committing a crime, just like the police went after this man because he was committing a crime. So what this man does is he attempts to flee the police by backing his car into a police car to take off running. The police give suit, and when they catch up with him, the cop runs up on the guy in the car and he opens fire on the guy in the car. He shoots him 7 times and he kills him. So really what that means, St. Louis, is that you're out there protesting because a drug dealer who was out there selling death to your kids got caught by the cops, attempted to flee the cops by ramming a police car, and when they chased him down and they shot him, that somehow pisses you off. It doesn't piss you off that he was out there selling drugs to your kids. It doesn't piss you off that he was out there dealing death to your children. What pisses you off is that the criminals seem to get gunned down in disproportionately large amounts by the police. As a matter of fact, maybe somebody in St. Louis or one of you brothers out there that live in the hood and who be representing could tell me, why is it black people march and destroy property for criminals? Why don't you get out there and march against the criminals who are dealing death and selling drugs to your kids? Why don't you get out there and tear up property and march against the police and demand that they come in and arrest criminals who shoot up your houses and gun down your children and gun down damn near every living thing in a black neighborhood? When some of these Negroes drive by houses, the fish in the aquariums stop swimming for fear of being shot by one of these clowns. Now, the man's name is Anthony Lamar Smith, and Mr. Smith's brother got on national television and told everybody, as a matter of fact, that the law just don't care about us. The law don't like black folk. The law ain't no good for black folk. Well, let me tell you something, sir. The law works plenty fine for me because I'm not a drug dealer. The law works plenty fine for me because I'm not a hoodlum, a thug, a gangbanger out here committing drive-bys and killing up people for no reason. The law works plenty fine for most people who obey the law, as opposed to drug dealing, which is against the law and could get you shot and killed by the police when you attempt to flee them by ramming a police car to get away because you broke the law. As a matter of fact, the law works just fine for this guy because apparently he can sell drugs in his neighborhood, and when he gets caught, the law lets him go. So why don't you protest against that? Why don't you protest for equal treatment under the law, which means he should go to jail for his crime just like you were going to go to jail for your crime, sir. There should be no difference between a drug dealing NBA basketball player and a drug dealing street thug. But you all root for that drug dealing NBA basketball player who gets off because he representing, and you don't understand that the law makes a distinction between those who have money and those who don't. Those who have money can buy their way out of trouble. Those who don't are fucked under the law. So you better learn that the law is designed to railroad poor people because those prisons need bodies, and black men who are more than willing to fill up those prisons with their bodies, because you're going to be on the I got fucked end of the law, the same law that lets NBA drug dealers get away while you go to jail and get shot by the police for the same thing. Maybe you need to protest against that. You wanted to be a drug dealer, you wanted to be a thug, you wanted to be a neighborhood Tony Montana, and you got caught. So don't show me pictures of you holding up your daughter like that's supposed to move me in some kind of way. How about you hold up pictures holding the big bags of crack that you were selling in the neighborhood? How about you hold up some pictures of you holding up them big bags of weed that you were selling in the neighborhood? A black male living in St. Louis should know that the police, when it comes to black men, are dangerous. But you go out there and commit dangerous and criminal acts, and then we're supposed to be mad when the police kill you. I wonder why the mainstream media doesn't cover it from that perspective. As a matter of fact, this article that I have right here, right under the YouTube picture, the Washington Post says black driver killed. But it doesn't say black driver killed who was out there selling drugs. It doesn't say black driver killed who was out there committing a crime. As a matter of fact, none of the article references his criminal behavior. So the mainstream media, in a lot of ways, likes to keep this crap going, gives them something to do so they can make some money. So you black men, you make money for everybody except yourselves. You make money for the prison system. You make money for mainstream media. You make money for everybody except yourselves when you're out there selling drugs, dealing death, getting caught, getting shot by the police. Now, as far as these moronic, idiotic protesters, anytime somebody shows up to a quote-unquote protest wearing shields and gas masks and they have their faces covered, they're not out there to protest. They're out there to eventually cause trouble. So St. Louis, when you knew this verdict was going to go down, you should have put that city on curfew. You should have had it locked down from jump. And as far as the rest of you are concerned, I wish the police would have put their boots up your asses. Every single one of you. You want to lay down on the ground and protest? I wish they would have got a steamroller and just pancaked your asses down into the concrete. This heifer that got maced by the cops, I'm glad they didn't. They should have whooped their ass all the way back home. I'm sick of you clowns out here causing trouble and chaos because you don't have anything else to do other than wait around for something to happen to give you an excuse to loot and tear stuff up. Oh, and look who made it to the party, Mr. Nick Cannon. Mr. Nick, I don't vote because voting is a conspiracy. Voting doesn't count. Cannon. Well, Mr. Cannon, if you vote in your respective area, you can curb a lot of this stuff because you can help participate in local laws that have an impact on things like this so the outcomes won't be so negative. You didn't participate in helping vote for change, helping vote for things that affect policy making, things that affect what goes on for the average person on a day-to-day level, so your participation doesn't count. If you do not vote, you do not count. Or, like Puffy said when he released his Vote or Die shirt back during the Obama elections, vote or die. Guess who didn't vote? Guess who's dead? So you take your show folded up and go home. And while you're at it, you take Black Lives Matter with you too. Black Lives Matter, you are one of the biggest shams pulled over the eyes of black folks to come along in the last decade. Until you deal with the issue of black on black violence, until you deal with the issue that more black men murder each other at a higher rate than any white cop will ever do, that makes you nothing more than a sham. So you can take, well, I'll tell you what, I ain't gonna tell you what you can do with that Black Lives Matter sign, but it goes along the way of shoving it somewhere where the sun don't shine. St. Louis, you are pathetic. Black St. Louis, I should say, because white St. Louis ain't having this problem. You are absolutely pathetic. You are doing the same thing that you were doing 2 years ago. You are going to continue to do the same thing. You're too stupid to realize it. You are living freaking Groundhog Day, and you will be doing that for the rest of your natural lives in St. Louis until you get it. The problem ain't the cops. The problem is us. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.